Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video was brought to you by a donation from James, and here's what he's got to say. Hey Sandman, I've been slowly watching your catalog of older videos for about a year now. Unfortunately, you had to private all of them a little while back. There's a lot of revelations and valuable knowledge in your older content, and I'm sad that I only got halfway through the catalog. I think it'd be a great change of pace for you to rehash a video on women subconsciously putting themselves in a position of inferiority in order to stay a perpetual victim to a man who is above them in some way. However, for this video, I'd love it if you could heavily lean into your more relaxed analytical voice/tone that is found in your older videos from 3 to 5 years ago. If you still need more content to finish this video, could you address/critique the potential of Monero as a more developed form of Bitcoin, as seen in a video I've attached? Well, James, thanks for the donation as well as the topic. The videos on my channel will be back up when the warnings and strikes finally get taken off. That's early in January of 2025 on the Sandman 1 channel, so odds are it's already been made public by now. At that point, if I get a warning, then I'll pull the videos down again and make them private. As for your topic request about women putting themselves into a position of inferiority to stay perpetual victims to men who are above them in some way, the first example I could think of is women complaining about how more men than women are CEOs, and that women are victims of the glass ceiling. Of course, they'll never compare themselves to garbage men or plumbers. Those men are below them and they don't matter, so the ladies out there aren't the victims. Women can only be victims if they compare themselves to higher status males. Things like the gender wage gap will be a perpetual problem because men will always work dangerous, dirty, and difficult jobs that pay more. Men will always take more entrepreneurial risks and build businesses that scale up to a higher size than women's. So women will always be the victims and they'll always use the government to fight against the patriarchy. Women can't help but find something to complain about. It's in their nature. Even if all their problems were magically solved, they would make more up out of thin air. That's where we are right now. It's best not to interact with them and listen to their problems. It's best just to ghost them as much as possible. And besides men making more money through the gender pay gap because men work less desirable jobs that pay more, and CEOs of companies making more, women will always see themselves as potential victims of Chad. He gets to sleep with as many women as he wants, and yet he gets labeled as a stud instead of a slut. So women are victims of their own promiscuity while men are rewarded for it. Of course, only the good-looking ones. There's also women that play in the WNBA or women's soccer complaining about how men get paid more for playing sports ball than women do. They of course never mention that men are the ones that are able to draw a crowd while the female leagues aren't able to. But then there's the double standard of something like Korn or Lonely Fools. Then it's okay for women to get more money and men don't complain about it. We don't end up playing the victim card. If we do, then women and other men for that matter would laugh and shame us. So it's only a tool that women can use effectively. Unless maybe those men are gay or trans. Men are also only a third of the people in higher education, but we can't be the victims because we have to atone for the sins of patriarchy in prior generations. Sins that we can't disprove or prove. So we have to just take women's word that we victimized them centuries ago and pay for it for the rest of time. So you see, even if women win in every part of life and make more money, own more property, have more status in society and so on, they will continue to play their ultimate trump card and yell out that the patriarchy oppressed us in the past. And most men will do what women want as a result because we're genetically hardwired to run to women's aid when we hear it. And since we men are problem solvers and want to fix things, we are stuck because the past is not a problem that can be fixed. Why do you think BLM and the tiny hats also used their victimhood in the past to fight for rights and privileges in the present? Could it be because there's no way to win an argument with history? That's why I think that there's so many Holocaust deniers out there these days. They're trying to defeat the past by denying it or even changing it. I'm not one of those people, as my grandmother was in a German forced labor camp, where she used to make munitions. She told me they told the tiny hats to bring their valuables with them when they were being resettled. They even got to ride on train cars to take them to their destination. Unlike my grandmother, she had to march all the way from eastern Ukraine all the way to Germany to work. Going for a ride on a choo-choo train was a luxury compared to walking the equivalent distance from Boston all the way down to Miami in the cold weather. She let me know all about it as a kid, about their long march with little to no food. They were told to bring food, but many of them, since they were from a communist eastern country, traded their food for fancy clothing in the West, clothing that didn't even keep them warm. Today, women would say these women were victims for trading their clothing for food because the people giving them those fancy textiles weren't telling them that the food was actually the scarce thing. Because women are always the victims, there's no point in arguing with them or trying to say that men are victims too. Because for them, they only see the top men as worthy of the title of being called male, and they don't see those guys as victims. Instead, they see them as privileged, and women want those privileges for themselves. Unfortunately, they can't have those privileges because men are not biologically the same as women. We can have high status and attract females, but when women have high status careers, they only attract crickets. They think that men are envious of their success, so that's why we stay away from strong, empowered career women. They don't seem to understand that chasing youth and beauty is hardwired into our biology. Besides the patriarchy in the past oppressing them, they will say that men choosing not to interact with them these days makes them the victims as well. They're already doing it now that men refuse to mentor women in the workplace thanks to things like Me Too. Again, guys, do whatever you can to limit your interactions with them. They take way too much effort, and they aren't worth it, because they'll always cry out as the victims, even when they're the victors. As for Monero, the difference between why Bitcoin has been adopted as a store of value and Monero hasn't is because everyone has gone insane. Guys are more interested in things and women are more interested in people. In order to understand why Bitcoin keeps hitting record prices, while Monero as well as many other altcoins haven't, is because of psychology. Sure, Monero is fast and more private than Bitcoin, but no one is debating that. But the reason Bitcoin continues to pump is because Bitcoin has brand awareness. Cenk Uygur, MSNBS, and Jim Cramer talk about it more. There are tons of companies out there on the stock market that make a lot of profit and are great stocks, but no one buys them because they aren't even aware of their existence. Just like 99.9% of people haven't heard of Monero, and let alone know where or how to buy it. In Canada, most people are capped at only 30,000 in altcoin purchases per year. Plus, you can't buy it through an ETF the way you can with Bitcoin, and unless you know how to use hard wallets or sign up for an exchange that carries it, that limits your options. It's not a bad investment because it's bad technology. It's a bad investment because no one has heard of it and very few people use it. People are also herd animals and most likely to buy the big coins like Bitcoin. And they'll buy bigger altcoins like Ethereum or Solana because they think they're safer in numbers. I've also added a link to the Bitcoin Pi Cycle Top Indicator. It's called the price highs of Bitcoin over the last 3 tops within days or hours. Once the 111-day moving average and 2 times the 350-day moving average lines meet, then it's time to sell your Bitcoin, and the altcoins peak about a week or 2 after. Most likely Monero too, and then the bear market begins. I don't think that the United States or Michael Saylor buying an extra 200,000 Bitcoin each year for the next few years will actually keep up the price. There's way too much leverage in the market, and when the Pi cycle indicator reaches the top like it has in previous runs, not only will I sell my Bitcoin, but so will many others. On top of that, I will take a short position pushing the price down further, and so will many others too. The goal is to own it in the long run, but I want more of it, and the only way I can get that besides making more money and buying it is to sell high and buy low. There's even an ETF called BITI, or BITI, that shorts Bitcoin if you have the stomach for such things. Again, not financial advice. I suspect we'll peak out somewhere between 170 and 180,000, and then enter a bear market that could see us going down to 35K again. I've had people offering to promote other poop coins. It's pure gambling and speculation at this point, and usually based around a founder that's a scammer. People are trying to get rich quick and think they missed the boat with Bitcoin. So now they're gambling on projects they think will go up 30, 40, or even 50 times in value in a very short amount of time, because they have such a small market cap. But for me, Bitcoin is slow and steady since late 2019, and Monero is not a store of value. A couple people gave me some and it hasn't even come close to outperforming Bitcoin. The issue is that Bitcoin has big banks and institutional money buying it, as well as countries now. American politicians are not talking about a national Monero reserve. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks again to James for the donation and topic. Don't forget to smash the like button the way that James probably wants you to smash the buy button on Monero so you can help him pump his crypto bags to the moon. Bang the bell and check out the mystery link. Follow me on BitChute, Twitter, and Facebook to get tomorrow's video today. Subscribe to me on Minds, Odyssey, MGTOW.TV, and Rumble to get the video for the day after tomorrow. This channel's been demonetized, and if you want to help me keep making content, please support me through Subscribestar. There's a link to it in the description. Or you can do an hour-long coaching chat with the Sandman for $45 and I won't rush out the door like a cheap whore. Thanks for taking your daily dose of red pills, and remember, a red pill a day keeps the guys that think they can change women's victimhood mentality away. So enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.